Hello and welcome to another episode of The More You Share, The More You Know. My name is Kathrin Salazar and I am the Instructional Technology Specialist at Education Service Center Region 19 in El Paso. In today's episode, we will focus on how to create groups in Project Share. It's something that a lot of teachers out there have been trying and some people still have a lot of questions about. I'm going to walk you through how to create a group, all the different nuances of what the group can do for you, as well as some custom menu items. So we're going to go right into our portal. I've logged in already with my username and password at projectsharetexas.org. On the left menu, I'm going to click on Collaboration, and then I have to focus on Groups right underneath. In the center of the screen, I can view groups, search groups that already exist, or create my own group. One of the first questions I always get from people after they create a group is they say that they can't find their group anymore to access it later on. What I tell them is to go to that drop-down menu. It always, by default, shows you the groups that you're a member of. And you, if you've created one, obviously are the owner of a group, and you have to change that to Groups I've Created. That will reload your page and show you any groups that you're the owner of. Just a good tip for later on. For now, I'm going to click on Create Group on the right side. The page will reload for me, and it will ask me certain things about my group. First, I have to give it a name. I'll title this one the TV Studio. I do have to give it a description. Do you see the little red asterisk on the side? That indicates a required field, and it will prompt you later on in case you try to save it without those descriptions. This is my sample TV Studio group. Then I can add keywords if I want to. But here I will skip that part since it's not required. The registration piece also is something that a lot of people constantly ask me about. If you want to hide your group, basically there's a checkbox for hidden groups, and that's your choice. But the registration buttons are crucial. If you want to make your group with just a few people and you want to personally invite them to it, then you keep that on invite only. Now, if there's only 4 or 5 people, that's fine. But if you're trying to later invite over 10, 20 people, remember that you would manually have to invite them, and that would take a lot of extra time. What I recommend most of the time is invite and request. That means that you can invite them with their account information, but they can also find your group and ask to join, and then you can just accept them in, and that makes your process a little faster. Now, if you don't even mind who joins your group at all, you can open that group up to anyone in your institution. What does the institution mean? It's the district that you're currently enrolled under. So for me, being at Region 19, if I choose that selection, anybody in Region 19 can openly join my group without my permission. The last option is the most open one, and that opens up your group to all the Epsilon members. Now remember, Epsilon includes not only Texas educators, but also colleges and universities nationwide. So there might be people from the University of Alaska in your group. So that's up to you. Just remember that invitation only is very restricted and a lot of labor for you, and opening it to all Epsilon members makes it open to anybody. So remember that whoever can see that information, you're sharing that out to them. I'm going to make this one invite and request for now, and I won't hide it. The last thing is that it will include your information as the owner, and it will ask you if you'd like to be, if the membership of this group would be shown on your homepage or not. For that, I usually take that off, and then I click on Create. It'll now create my group for me, and it will automatically put me into the group. How do you know that you're inside of a group? Well, there's a few key things that changed now. At the very top, it says Group instead of my portal, and it tells me, Welcome Kathrin to TV Studio. The URL is now not my personal URL to my personal website, but actually the link to the group's public website. A lot of people don't know that when they create a group, they actually have a chance to make a public website about their group as well. So if I'm making a group with my biology students in high school, I can have a public website for my parents to access information without even needing a username and password for Project Share. It's very good to keep in mind. Okay, so here on the right side of my group, it tells me a footprint. Any visitors to my group in the past. That's really important because, again, if I'm keeping track of who's visiting, it gives me a quick snapshot of who's been visiting my group. On the left side, you always have a default menu. It starts from about your group all the way down to taking some notes or options. And if you notice down by the hand lens, I have something called the owner's view. Once I'm done making changes, I can toggle to see how this group looks to the members, because me as an owner, I have some additional options that they can't see. All right, one of the biggest things is currently this group is still not populated with any information. I would click on About on the left menu, and I can read what the group is about. I haven't really done much because I just said in my description that this is my sample TV studio group. If I wanted to include more information there, I can definitely edit that later on. If I want to make certain announcements for my group, if I click on Announcements, it tells me there aren't currently any. The pattern here is that any new thing you want to add, you always have that option on the far right side of the website. Here it says Add a new announcement. Later on, if you're adding new news, a new blog, anything new, those buttons will always be on the right side. I'm going to add a new announcement real quick because there's one crucial checkbox that a lot of people ask me about. This one is Welcome to my group. The announcement is Welcome. I hope you find a lot of information here. If this were a classroom teacher, maybe they would post their homework here weekly as an announcement. Right here it has two checkboxes. Public says, show this announcement on the group's public webpage. Again, if it's something that I don't mind my parents reading, I can definitely make this public and it'll show up on the website. And then the second thing is, send a copy of this announcement as a message to all the members of the group. And that can be either very good or very bad for you. Let's say that I have 100 people in here and there's something really vital that I want to get out to them. I'll definitely want to keep that checked because if they don't go to my group, they won't ever see the announcement. This way, an email will definitely be sent to them immediately. But if you don't want to bombard your members all the time with some of the announcements, take that check mark off and press on Save. The announcement will not get sent to their inbox. Instead, they'll see it once they come back to your group. On your membership list, one of the most important things people ask me after they create a group is, now how do I invite my colleagues to this or my students? On the left, you have to click on Members. You can do several things here. You could invite people to it, view who you've already invited that has not accepted yet, and view requests. That one a lot of times gets overlooked because my colleagues will ask to join my group, but if I never go to that section, I'll never approve their login or their participation in my group, and they can never access my information. So here, I'm going to show you how to invite people. Do you see that there's this help box that sometimes blocks the text in the middle? That's kind of an issue for iPad users, but if you scroll further down, there's something on the left called Disable Menu Tips. You definitely want to check that box, and the next time you hover over something, those tips will go away, and you will be able to see your screen a lot better. You always invite current Epsilon members, and here, one of the biggest things that happens is it will default to your institution. As you see here for me, it defaults to anybody within Region 19 only. So if I'm looking for a coworker out at another school district, I first have to change this to all institutions. Then it will definitely look outside of the Region 19 umbrella. If I know their email, that's honestly the fastest way to find them, but for now, I will look by first and last name. Once I click on Search Epsilon Members, all the people in Epsilon with that first and last name will show up. So if you're looking for somebody with a very common first and last name, you might get pages and pages of results. And that's why it helps to know what institution they're connected with. So here, the Tim Holt that I'm looking for is in El Paso ISD. It's the first one on my list. I'll check the box next to his name, and then I click on Add Selected. It will reload the page, and here, at first, you think that they're already invited. But really, it's just making a list of everybody you want to invite. You can keep searching for people here, up to 10 or 20 at a time. But then at the bottom, that's when you can actually, in the very, very bottom, hit on Invite Selected. And that's the first time that that person will get the invitation in their inbox. You can check who you've invited on the left under Members. When I click on View Invited, it should reload and tell me that Tim Holt has been invited, but he has not accepted yet. One of the last few things I'll talk about in my show today is the way to make custom tools on the menu. Everybody starts off with the same tools, but some people really go all out when they create their groups. If you'll go further down, the section right above the hand lens has something called custom tools. When you click on that, it says that I don't have any, but on the far right, remember there's always that button to add something new. So here I'm going to add a custom tool. I'll give it a title called Google. Maybe frequently people in my group have to access this website for some reason, and I want it to be right on the menu instead of somewhere embedded in one of the other menu items. I can give it a description if I want to, although it's not required. I'll call this the link to Google, just as an example. The icon can be a little picture that can show up on the website. If you don't want an icon, just choose the first one, which is blank. For me, I'll choose the little computer screen. And then it asks me, do I want this menu item to point to a website only, or do I actually want to create content for this? Of course, going to Google is just a link. When I click on that, it simply asks me for the URL, and it already gives me the HTTP in front, so I don't have to include that. Then I press on Save, and my website reloads, and if you notice now, on the left menu item, it says Google now, and that wasn't there before. And when people click on it, it will automatically take them into Google, but it will keep them in the group. So even though you're navigating out to another website, you're actually staying within the group. Let me disable my menu tips again and try to see if it'll access Google. It's having a hard time today, but just so you know, there's plenty of ways for you to use those custom tools in the future. All right, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining me in The More You Share, The More You Know, and let us know how we can help you with Project Share in the future.